Hello and welcome back to the Route One show. I'm Stephen Browne and I'm delighted to say joining me again this week is Jayson Booker. Jason, how are we doing, mate?
Yeah, very well, mate. Very well. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on again.
No, you're more than welcome. And we're here to review Leeds United nil, Brentford nil. I've got to admit, when I woke up today, I had a bit of a mixed feeling about the game, thinking about how it unfolded and the fact that it's another game without a win. But I wanted to get your take on it. I mean, first of all, kind of before we get into the nitty gritty of the match, what's your overall feeling of the game and how it went?
Um, Again, I think I watched us chat back last time, and I seem to use the word in isolation a lot. But when you do kind of look at this game in isolation, a game, yeah, at home, but still a 0-0 draw against a very good Brentford side, a side that they've taken big points off big teams this season. Manchester City away, a lot of people talking about. They went there and did a job on them, and they find themselves in a battle for top six. You'd say if you came out of that game with a 0-0 draw, you'd be fairly happy. Clean sheet. There were lots to like about the performance. However, when you're on the run that we're on, home games are vital. We haven't got that many out and out winnable home games left before the end of the season because we've thrown away points at home already this season. You're looking at it and you think it's a must win. In the chat that we had last week, we both said it were a must-win game, and we ended up coming out of it saying, well, they were all right, when really it still doesn't feel like it was. So I'm very similar to you, very mixed feelings with regards to the result, the performance, and like I say, we'll probably get into the nitty-gritty of it. Just frustration, a sense of, again, I felt like they were there for the taking, but happy to not concede and happy to come away with a clean sheet almost feels as good as the point. I know it's not, but you know where I'm trying to come from. That's how I felt. It was pleasing to see us take a deserved clean sheet out of the game.
Yeah, I mean, straight away, I kind of want to look at the kind of starting lineup. Not too many surprises, I guess. Maybe the fact that Werber was actually central defence rather than left back. And, if Koch plays like that every time with Werber as his fellow centre back, then I'm all for it because I mean probably our best player Werber perhaps. I mean what's he brought? I mean straight away we look a different prospect defensively with him in the team. I mean what is he doing?
It made me chuckle that we've signed a left back to fill in at left back, and I know he's played most of his career at centre back, but this season predominant left back, and then he still ended up playing centre back. So it's a recruitment conversation, isn't it? We still can't rely on Firpo. He's quite obviously fit. He played against Cardiff, played okay, but we don't trust him. I don't rate him at all. I don't think he can really do a job in the Premier League out and out every week against some of the wingers that you're going to deal with in the Premier League. So, but yeah, Werber particularly, I mean, he was my man of the match. I thought he was fantastic. I think he's brought a leadership that I think we're missing. And I know, Cooper has his haters and his praises, if you like. He's just always got a clang in him. And it feels like with Werber that he doesn't have that. He has an assurance to his game that really stands out. He picks the right times to just get the ball away with either his head or a shank upfield. And he picks the right times to come out and be commanding and get a foot on the ball. He just seems to be the full package. Hopefully we're not talking too soon. I think he probably will end up reverting to left back, and Cooper will probably take Stroik's position at centre back. That's the way that I think Marsh will take it. Whether that's what I think they should do or not is irrelevant. I think that's what Marsh will do. So yeah, but he was fantastic, and he seemed to help Koch grow in confidence as well. I thought Koch was fantastic. I thought the pair of them were brilliant. It shows a mark of what they were about, the fact that Brentford didn't have a shot on target for 90 minutes. And I read it's the first time that's happened since December 2020, I think it was. So that in itself is impressive. We know that Brentford have got a lot of potent threats, especially on the counter-attack. And we sniffed that out on the whole. Not completely, but on the whole.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that was Cox's best performance of the season. And he's been one where I've been watching him going, you never know what you're going to get with him, because sometimes he can be outstanding and then other times it's just not happened. And I think I agree totally with what you said about Cooper as well. I think he's a good leader, but he's prone to those Cooperisms, isn't he, that just get thrown in there. Yeah. So we're happy with the defensive display yesterday. It was pretty resolute. Going forward, though, were you underwhelmed? I mean, after the Cardiff game, we're banging in the goals and the passing looks great, and even the narrow style seemed to look fine. Obviously, you're playing much less an opponent. Were you surprised at how difficult it was for Leeds to get through yesterday, or have you just got to praise Brentford and say, look, that's what they're capable of?
I mean, just before we move off the defence, I still think there was moments, and I mean, in any game, there's going to be moments where opponents get through. You're playing in the best league of the world, they're going to find gaps, but there was still that alarming space at the back post. There were a moment, I think it was the first half, when the ball broke all the way across to Rico Henry, and he cut it back, and thankfully, Koch managed to position himself really well to defend it, but we still get caught with that ball, that switch of play. So I'd still say that was a worry, but overall, much, much, much better and much more improved. Going forward, we just seem so keen to bring it into the channels, into the funnels, that Brentford wanted us to go into, which were very central, which then also played into it because that's the style in which we play. So there was several shots that I saw where you had 4 or 5 Leeds players in an area of maybe 5 or 10 yards, and it's like the spaces are not going to be there. It's where Brentford want you to be. So yeah, frustrating, and we didn't really create any out-and-out clear chances. Nonto had was it a clear chance? Probably a half chance that David Raya did really well to save, and then Rodrigo from the edge of the box. But really, that was pretty much it. So yeah, disappointing after the performance against Cardiff to be so limited in front of goal.
Yeah, and because it's definitely tactical. Obviously, we know about that Red Bull style and the way Marsh likes them set up. I mean, there was a couple of times where I think Rodrigo and Harrison kind of had the ball in that middle, and Stroit was, kind of running down the left, and they actively made that decision. No, it's going in the middle again, and trying the little interlinking passes in the middle, and obviously it didn't get any joy. I mean, in terms of just some of the performances, then, I mean, I thought Rodrigo, Harrison started a little bit off the mark for the first 20 minutes. For the first 20 minutes, I thought them two. I mean, Rodrigo, I thought he really got up to the level of the game later, after 20 minutes or so. Harrison, I mean, there was one bit where Harrison had the ball in about 20 yards of space and he just overran it. And you're just thinking, what are you doing? Yeah. But I thought, generally speaking, he was okay. I mean, how did you think those two did?
I thought, I agree with you. I think Harrison started really shaky. He's a massive confidence player, isn't he? Like, it just seems week in, week out that if it goes well for him early, he can have a good game. If it doesn't, if he has one bad touch, he's looking up into the sky and, oh God, it's like Wallamy, and he ends up getting into that kind of mindset, and he's huge, his confidence for Jack. Rodrigo, I mean, I think when the game for any number 9 and you're trying to play that position, especially against massive centre-backs, and he's not an out-and-out number 9, he's got a task on his hands anyway. When he started to then pick up the game and see what was happening, he started dropping a little bit deeper, he started coming into the game a little bit more and affecting the play quite well. I thought overall he looked super on it, and he's looked like that for a few weeks. This whole question about whether the players are playing for Jesse Marsh or not, I think you can see it right through Rodrigo that they definitely are. Like, they are right behind him, and Rodrigo really seems to be the one channeling that the most. So yeah, I had no problem with Rodrigo's performance. Aronson, I thought, again, just so slight. I wouldn't have started him at the weekend. I think that was a real mistake. I mean, whether you chuck Jorginho straight in there or not, I'm not sure. And whether he should have come on for any sort of game time or not is, again, another question. I understand the arguments for both, but for me, Aronson definitely should have been on the bench at the start. And you have all sorts of options. Sinisterra for 60 minutes could have played. Then take him off. He's obviously on his way back. He could have played Pat up front and dropped Rodrigo in there. There were all sorts of options that could have taken him out of the firing line. It looked like he was trying too hard, and then he just gets brushed over so easily. And I think the refs are looking for it as well, because he's giving himself a bit of a reputation now, unfortunately.
Yeah, I do feel sorry for Brendan at the minute. It's just not quite happening, is it? And I think it's also now it's highlighted. So I think every little mistake is really kind of look, he's doing it again kind of thing, and he's playing in that difficult position as well, where he's got to pick up the ball on the half turn. There's always a man on him immediately. There's always someone breathing down his neck. It's almost like every touch he does has got to be perfect, otherwise he is going to lose the ball. And it's a lot of pressure. But I think possibly it's time for him to just have a break out of the team. I don't know what you do. Maybe you bring Sinisterra on and start him. Possibly he's back to full fitness or not. I'm not sure. What did you make of the subs and the timing of the subs? Because I was kind of looking at my watch thinking, come on, are we going to make a sub here or what? When it was in that kind of that period in the second half. I mean, were you surprised Rodrigo came off?
I think Rodrigo probably earned his sub because of the yellow card. I thought that at the time. He showed his frustration, nearly kicked the ball in the air, punched it down. I think that's why he was pulled, if I'm honest. Not directly, but if he'd have then got a second yellow card, it'd have changed the game. So I couldn't a little bit understand that. There was a moment, maybe, I think they made their sub maybe 5 or 10 minutes before we did. And in between their first sub and our first sub, there was a period of the game where it felt like it was going away from us. And the sub needed to be then. It really needed to be then. And thankfully, he recognised it maybe only 5 minutes too late rather than 15 minutes too late. So, yeah, it could have been slightly earlier, but at least he got there. Because in the past, he's just not done it at all. So,
yeah. At least he got something on there. Did you see Match of the Day's analysis of the game?
I didn't actually watch Match of the Day on Saturday. I watched... on Sunday, sorry. I watched Match of the Day on Saturday. I didn't watch it on Sunday.
It was interesting because Leeds got hammered in it, absolutely hammered in the analysis, and it was one I thought it was a tad harsh. Basically, it was Troy Deeney was absolutely slamming our attack, really going to town on it, and then Martin Keown, and it's been clipped up, and I've seen it doing the rounds on Twitter today, saying about how Leeds need to calm down and they need to just get some control over the football. It's too frantic, and a lot of fans are kind of jumping on that, going, "Yeah, actually, that's right." Did you see that someone's taking a picture inside a tour of Leeds, and it's showing like Jesse Marsh's principles for the thing? I mean, do you know the one that kills me is the width thing? When you know width, you just think, oh. It does kill you a bit because you just think, well, that's part of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean. You've got two things here. You've got people looking at it, and again, the Americanism thing's going to come up, and it's kind of going to get slandered for the rah-rah. That's what I'd call it, rah-rah, the G-up. You know what I mean? The kind of fairy, candy flossy kind of stuff. The facts is that I've worked in management for a long time. These kind of things, that's normal. It's normal for any level of management, whether it be football management, retail management, any sort of management has them kind of things. I ain't got a problem with them. He's going to get slammed for it. If it were Bielsa that had something similar or one of his coaches, it'd be, that's amazing. So I ain't got a problem with that. The tactical side of that is frustrating. It's extremely frustrating, especially when we keep buying players that are so good out wide. Like, I don't understand it. I mean, Jorginho he's probably going to play as a 9, but I think it's been shown that his best work is on the right, cutting in on into his left foot. Sinisterra was bought; is an out-and-out winger. Last season, the best performances that we got under Marsh were when Rafinha just thought, hell it, I'm going to go out there anyway and do my own thing. Harrison's an out-and-out winger. We've seen time and time again that he struggles in the 10. So we said it last week, you play to your strengths. And if you haven't got the players to suit the tactic that you want, then you adapt the tactic to fit. And that's where I'm at. Like, it's just beyond frustrating that then we seem to carry on recruiting players that want to play out wide.
Yeah. Where are you on this? Oh, we're picking up form. The performances are happening. Everything's going to be okay. Because I really woke up this morning, like I said at the start, and just I thought, well, it's 2 weeks now until we've got the Forest game. And look at our position and the fact that, we're on another long winless streak again. I mean, have we forgotten how to win a game in the Premier League?
Well, we both said last week, didn't we, that it was probably make or break for Jesse, this game. And I think, funnily enough, the one result that we probably didn't see was a draw, and certainly not a 0-0 draw, because it kind of deflates either balloon a little bit. Like the in or the out, like neither have got anything to say about it, because there was some positives. We did improve defensively, but then we went backwards on some of the stuff that actually was working. And so you have to deal with it with some context. Brentford are a good side. We didn't just play out that performance against Forest at home, or even a Leicester at home, or an Everton at home. It was Brentford. So we who, it pains me to say, are a good side, and they're way beyond us right now. So it's really, really difficult to subscribe to this kind of mindset that the form's getting better, but we're still not getting points, is almost as concerning as it is positive. We're still not getting points, and we're in a sticky spot, because Forest away, like, Leeds fans are looking at that now and saying, must win. Okay, we said that last week, and we said it the week before as well. Forest away is going to be very tough. It's going to be an extremely tough game. And then we follow that up by back-to-back games against Scum. So we come out of that, and I mean, it's quite plausible that we come out of that with 1 point, maybe no points. Then what? We're in the middle of February by that point. So what do we do then? So for me, I mean, I think Jesse now was kind of, with the gap in time to the next game, unless we got thumping by Bournemouth or Accrington, which I don't think we will. I think our chaotic style will suit them games perfectly. I think we'll probably roll them over because of the way that it is. We've got such better technical players than them. The franticness, they'll buy into it. They'll maybe make mistakes. We'll win that game quite comfortably, I would imagine. We could then go into the Everton game on the back of 3 losses and him lose that game, because again, we're away from home, going to be difficult. They're going to have had a change of manager by then. All sorts of things could have happened at that point. We could be going into, after them game, 4 losses on the bounce. So, and then what do you do? Do you then twist then? So I don't know. I know we're going over many things at once here, but I think we're now in a position where we need it to work. I don't see any changes. I think yesterday was the make or break.
Yeah, because you can't just keep saying it, can you, game after game? And it's like you say as well. Yeah, we sort the defence out, but then suddenly the attack looks not quite at it, or we don't have the tactical flexibility to get around Brentford and try something different, because it's got to be that kind of style and that's it kind of thing. And you're looking at these games ahead, and it's the first thing I thought of this morning as well. It's like, well, hang on, this was supposed to be our run of games where we were going to pick up all these points, we were going to get wins, and we've already seen 2 games where we haven't got a win again. And looking at those games ahead, exactly like you say, Forest at home, tough. Everton, they'll have a new manager bounce, potentially. New manager could come into Everton, kick up the backside, and might even be Bielsa by reports today. But could go in there and get them going. You just don't know. And then you're looking at it going, well, where are the games we're gonna actually win? It has to start working. And I think that's a confusing thing today. You're going, okay, things look like they're improving, but at the same time, we're just not getting anything for it. I mean, if you look at the table now, I mean, Crystal Palace have got a nice little gap there, 6 points, up to 12. Forest are on 21 points. I mean, that pressure's building, isn't it?
It is. Wins come at a premium in the Premier League, especially when you're in that bottom 7 or so teams. And unfortunately for us, while we've been trying to get our acts together, we've missed a lot. We've used up a lot of them games where you would hope that you would get points. Villa at home, Everton at home, Southampton away. I was looking at the table earlier as well, in preparation for coming on, and I was thinking just that 2 points that we threw away against Southampton would have made such a difference to the way that we felt right now. They'd have been on, I think it was 14 points. We'd have been on 20. I think that's right. And we'd have felt so much different about what the state of play. Just 2 points. yet we find ourselves now going into the second half of the season with some extremely tough games, and the quote unquote winnable games are all away from home. So yeah, I think it's tough. I think it's really tough. But I think given the result yesterday, given how invested the board are in Jesse, the players, the time, because a new manager coming in isn't going to have the opportunity to change, bringing anybody in, because he isn't going to get sacked before the end of January. It's not going to happen now because of the timeline. So I think we're all in. I think it's Jesse or bust. I do. I think that's where we're at. I think we have to make this work.
Yeah, it does feel like that, doesn't it? Because I mean, I'm not liking that it's kind of gone quiet on the midfielder front as well, because I'm looking at Rocker and Adams. I'm thinking suspension, injury to them too, and then you're screwed, aren't you? You're looking at Sam Greenwood, who we mentioned last week, trained as a striker for most of his life, played as a second striker for most of his life. You got JB, who's a youth player essentially.
Yeah.
Please get the midfielder done. I feel like if we get another midfield in, and then like you say, we are all in. We've got the defender, we've got the midfielder, we've got another striker. Then it really is just everything gambling, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, I think it will happen. Whether it's Unahi or not, I'm not sure, and whether it's the perfect player for us or not, I'm not sure. It could be somebody else. But I do think they've recognised with the signing of Verba and the signing of Jorginho, the positions that we need. I mean, if anything, we're probably over resourced in the attacking front. Now that Sinisterra's back and Somerville's going to come back, we're going to have Jorginho, we're going to have Bamford. Hopefully now he'll stay fit. But at least they've recognised the fact that if these players don't all stay fit, we've got other options. I mean, it's the first time that we've seen that really in certainly since Bielsa came in, that we've done that we've over-resourced a position. I'd have liked to have seen a more natural out-and-out left-back. I would have liked to seen that. But I think given the options that we have there, Pascal can fill in, Firpo and Verba, I think the centre midfield is absolutely pivotal. Absolutely pivotal. You cannot be looking to the bench and be bringing Sam Greenwood on. And I understood, by the way, he got a lot of stick, did Jesse, for bringing Greenwood on when he did.
Yeah.
It was the only option that we had in that position. That's number one. And number two, his set piece delivery is fantastic. And he was right. We were winning a lot of set pieces at the time. So the substitution, given the options that he had available to him, made sense. So, yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny, isn't it? We're doing a review of Brentford, but you can't help with the position Leeds are in at the moment that you're just looking at you forward and thinking what is coming around the corner next, because it is pretty desperate. I mean, if you had to sum it up, I mean, we've got to give praise to Brentford as well. I mean, what they do and the tactical flexibility they've got, the job that Frank's done over a certain number of years. I mean, they're just making it look so easy out of this Premier League.
They're a good side. And I mean, not only are they a good side, and we banged on about this championship team that we've still got a few championship players that are, not good enough. They've still got a bunch of them that were there in the championship. You look at players like Rico Henry, look at players like, I mean, I know Ben Mee wasn't in the championship team, but really he's a championship player. Ivan Toney were there in the championship. The whole core of the side is still championship, and it's the way that they're coached and drilled and set up. And Frank's, I don't like him, but he's a very, very clever manager. He's a very clever tactician. He sets his team up really well, especially away from home, to counter well, uses what he's got at his disposal, and it works. So on that, we did well to come away from a game where we didn't even allow them a shot on target. That does need to be mentioned, because they still threatened, they still probed, we still tried to impose our game, and we did limit them to very, very little. I think they had 5 shots in the whole game. 2 of them were extremely speculative, like Tony trying to catch Meslier out and stuff like that. Like they had very little over 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think it had the lowest XG of a Premier League game all season. So I think Leeds' XG was about 0.52 and Brentford's 0.29. So it tells you everything, doesn't it, really, about that. Just speaking of championship players or players that played for us in the championship, Luke Ayling, I thought he he had a good game. He was doing Luke Ayling things where he's, driving the ball forward. A couple of times when he got in crossing positions, the final ball wasn't great, but he's fair play to him. He's still holding up that position, is he? He's still making himself, present in the team. And the fact that we've got a new signing, Christiansen, there, and a prospect in Drama, he's keeping them both at bay.
It's funny with Rasmus, isn't it? Because I think out of all the summer recruits, you looked at him, Dortmund were in for him, Brentford were in for him actually as well. Danish international. I'd seen him play a couple of times. I heard about him pocketing Mbappe in the Denmark-France game. And he has probably been the most disappointing out of all the signings. Overall, he's had a couple of okay games. He's pumped his fists in, Leeds fashion when he's won a good tackle. And I think that's bought him a little bit of time with a few of the Leeds fans. But unbelievably, Luke Ayling is still probably the first choice right back after all that. So, yeah, Luke, for me, is a great attacking fullback going forward. He offers a threat. His crossing's not always great, but he can carry the ball well and he gets himself in good positions. It's defensively that's the problem with Luke. And unfortunately, you're not, with the budget that we're going in with, you're probably not going to get both. You're not going to get great going forward and great at the back. So,
in terms of positives going forward, then obviously it's tricky at the minute because I like to kind of balance it out as much as you can. We're not in the relegation zone. We're not a mess like Everton. The defence does look to have stepped up since we've signed Verba. We know what we've got in attack. There are things to be positive about, isn't it? It's just we just need the result, though. We just need the win. Come on.
It's frustrating and quite funny, really, because I hate the expression, it's coming together. And Jesse says it a lot. It does feel like it's not far off. It does feel like it's not far off clicking. We're just all under a lot of pressure. We don't want to go back into the Championship. We don't want to suffer relegation. And ultimately, the only thing that matters is hitting the points total that we need to stay up again this season and then allow them another season to build. We all want Jesse to succeed because if Jesse succeeds, Leeds succeed. Like it's definitely, certainly for I think the majority of Leeds fans, it's not personal. It's just when the result doesn't come behind the performance, you are then better sometimes having the result without the performance. And that's I think where we're all at. We would absolutely take 14th over 10th if it's in the long-term ambition to get this system working and the football working, and then it clicks in a couple of seasons' time. A bit like what it did at Arsenal. Different ship, but the premise is still the same. We're building towards something a little bit further in the future. But the problem for us is if it goes that extra 10% wrong, you get relegated. So that's where we're at. I think there definitely is positives. There definitely is positives after Sunday. Really, we should have come out of the Cardiff game not conceding. Luke Ayling mistake and a penalty that, in my opinion, probably wasn't a penalty, but regardless, we then come out of Sunday. We've got another clean sheet, and we actually played well defensively on the whole. They had a couple of moments where the tactics still got us caught out, but on the whole, they actually played well defensively. We take that into Forest now, and hopefully, I think that's a really tough game. I think it's a really tough game. They've got the wind, underneath the sails a little bit, the bouncing. They've got away from that relegation zone. They're in a better position than us. Steve Cooper's a good manager as well. He's got his team playing well. I think it's a really tough game. And I think, coming out of that game without anything would be seriously toxic going into the next 3 games that we've got after that.
Absolutely. I mean, how did we get leapfrogged by Nottingham Forest when you looked at it earlier in the season? I mean, if you'd have said to me January we'd have been below Nottingham Forest, I wouldn't have believed it from what was going on. So it's, really frustrating.
There is proof though, Browney, to kind of stick with your manager sometimes. And I'm not trying to compare Jesse Marsh to Steve Cooper. I think Steve Cooper's a very, very good manager, but they just got pumped 4-0 and went out and gave him a 5-year contract. So they were like, we're sticking behind this mission. This is the plan that we've got. This is how we see it working out. We're going to stick with it. And it's paid off for them. They've had a lot of players come in there. They've had to change a lot. But again, that shows a mark of the manager. because he's been able to pull all them players together, give them a vision, give them an understanding, and get results. So I'm just hoping that Southampton don't keep on with this kind of new form that they found. Another loss at the weekend, but before that, they've got a few wins. Bournemouth keep on going. I think Bournemouth are pretty much one of the bottom three. I don't think they've got enough. And Everton, I hope they just continue to implode, but they made the right decision today. I mean, I've said for as long as anybody would ever listen, from when Lampard was at Derby to then Chelsea to then Everton, he's an awful manager. And I know we've got our personal kind of feelings towards him as Leeds fans. He's just a terrible manager. He took Derby backward, he took Chelsea backwards, and he took Everton backwards. He only got away with the season at Chelsea because of the embargo, and he kind of managed to fall a bit lucky with a few youth players coming through, and he got a bit of time because he was who he was for Chelsea. He's just a terrible manager. So he was only ever going to take Everton down this season. I said it right from the beginning of the season, they'd be in the bottom three, and it proved as such under Lampard. But they've got a good squad, really. They've got well enough to stay up, I think. If they put it together, they've got enough to stay up. They just need the right manager.
And also, why didn't we beat them at home? Why?
It's another game, isn't
it? When I look at, the Aston Villa at home and Everton at home, opportunities totally wasted from Leeds. Switching it up anyway, FA Cup next. I mean, a nice little distraction, really. I mean, it's frustrating because when you think, oh God, 2 weeks till a bloody league game, we really need to get going with that. But a little cup run, I mean, how do you think that'll kind of work? I mean, like you say, you would expect us to get through. And if we do, 5th round, is it a nice distraction? Does it give us confidence, or is it just a waste of time?
I think it's good for us. I do think it's good for us. So it's clear that this team are not, like I say, against Jesse. You can see that on the pitch. Teams don't play and follow an instruction like they are doing without being right behind the plan. You see teams on the pitch go offside when they go offside. So I truly believe that we will go into the weekend's game and touch wood with this, we hopefully roll over whichever opposition it is, because the style should really favour us against this kind of opposition. It should. And I think that's good for us. And then, hopefully, I want to stay away from as many good sides as possible in the FA Cup. Keep on feeding us teams that we can hopefully beat and get through, gain a bit of confidence, score some goals, keep up the vibes that Jesse wants to kind of bring. Because that is a big part of management. It's a big part of creating a winning team, is the way that you're feeling. So hopefully if we can, build up some of that in the cup games, it will then transmit into the league form. The cup run would be nice. We don't have them very often, do we? So it would be nice.
No, it'd be brilliant. I mean, I can't remember a decent cup run for, it's years, isn't it? Absolutely years since.
Really, the last time that we had anything nice was when we beat Man United at Old Trafford, and then we drew the replay against Spurs in the next round and got knocked out at Ellen Road. That was really the last time. That was in League One. So that was the last time that we had any sort of real enjoyment in the cup. I think we've got to the 5th round once since then. Once.
Terrible. Hopefully it turns around for us now. Well, Jason, thank you very much for bobbing on, giving us a review.
You're welcome, mate.
Our usual Leeds therapy on a Tuesday.
It was a little bit more positive than after the last league game. Obviously, I think the last time we spoke were after Villa, before Cardiff, wasn't it? Is that right? Or was it after Cardiff? I can't remember.
That's right.
Yeah. So
before.
It was before Cardiff, wasn't it? So we had a good result and a good performance against Cardiff. We've had positives out of Sunday, and I think we've also kind of both, or as Leeds fans, we've now kind of resigning ourselves to we're in this with Jesse. And we have to get behind him, because while he's there, he's going to be the man ultimately that either keeps us up or takes us down. And we all want us, to get the positive results. So, yeah, fingers crossed. Going into weekend, we can take a 4th round win home, get to the 5th round, and then we can lead into that Forest game. It'll be an interesting preview before the Forest game. I've got to say, see where we're at before that game. That'd be interesting.
Just gets ramped up every game, doesn't it? It just gets the pressure and the expectation. Blimey, can't wait. Well, if you've enjoyed the video, please do give us a like. And if you want more content like this, also subscribe to the channel. Jason, until next time, take it easy, mate.
Yeah, pleasure, mate. Thank you for having me.